Alright, so during the last stint of your adventure, a little bit of time hopping through voluntary or involuntary means, you all proceeded to rescue Lance Corporal West from a incident aboard the USS Columbia in the year 2156 or 7. I don't remember which one I said. In which the crew of Columbia was taken out of their timeline to uphold the fixed point within history's narrative. The slight bits of future involving Columbia would be somewhat altered. However, that doesn't really affect a huge amount, creating its own splinter reality, as it were. However, returning, the captain of the Columbia did not seem very appreciative. That may take a little getting them used to and accustomed to 25th century. The seemingly war of the continuums being the primary continuum and the American continuum. You're not entirely sure what is going on there. However, there are forces at work that seem to have you right in the middle of it. That being the case, we're going to say it's probably a good 2-3 days after that all of this has happened. And as actually, Aleska, as you mentioned that, there is a slight bit of debriefing from that. However, it's it's not the first time this has happened, and therefore, they're a little more it's more of a report of what happened. It's not so much cracking down on you doing it, because it's just it's happened in the past, and it's damn well sure to happen sometime in the future. No real way of determining how that happens, but wasn't that big of a deal. At the end of it all, after your whole strange event, a certain piece of memory and history is been a certain piece of recent history has been altered. Your mission, though you do have memory of it, to the supply station, particularly the Prometheus class ship that was called the USS Beowulf, looking through and trying to understand it, it no longer exists. As a concept, as a being, as anything, that ship does no longer exist in this time.
So basically, we remember everything except for the ship itself.
No, you remember the ship. It doesn't exist.
Oh.
It no longer exists because you pulled out the Beowulf program from Columbia, from their timeline.
And now that program is on our side.
Correct. Though it still remains
Once we fix it.
very, very primitive by comparison now. With all that being said, given everything that has occurred, what do you all wish to be doing, scenes that you wish to have?
My first choice would definitely be requesting a meeting with Aleska at her earliest convenience.
But would Apricity invite the captain along for said meeting?
Oh.
No, this is a medical thing.
Yeah, you're not really. This is about her personal medical files, so I don't think I would actually invite you.
Doctor-patient confidentiality.
Fair enough.
That can be done whenever, though. I don't know if anybody else has anything they want to do. But it would have been at Aleska's earliest convenience, basically the moment we got back from the mission. That email is waiting in your inbox.
And Aleska would be in her office right now going through West's recommendations for the cadets.
Speaking of that, did Corporal West send a copy to the captain? And if he did, then the captain's probably going over it himself.
Proper procedures would be I would send it up to my immediate supervisor for their action.
Mm-hmm.
So
Just looking through and going over it, depending on how well the commendation you feel is written, then it will go up to the captain, and overall, it'll probably go up to somewhere slightly higher. But that being said, for you, Aleska, as you're going through all of this, no, you're the closest. I second guessed myself for a second. I wanted to see if I thought of this or if it didn't make any sense. But no, you're the closest to this because you have a slight connection to it.
Mm-hmm.
It is a piercing headache, a strong, sharp pain in the back of your skull, like a hot knife piercing through. There's brief flashes and images, a relic of some kind, ancient, out of a spectrum of time or understanding.
Aleska has idiot memory, like Spock, and so after the pain goes away, would she recognize what that artifact looked like? Like, say, a Bajoran orb?
It is similar to a Bajoran orb, however, it is in a tumultuous space of continuous, it's like in a dark matter storm. It's almost continuously rolling in a state of chaos, rather than a perfect balance of harmony or anything. It seems to be constantly moving, aggressively cracking through. You have no concept of what this is, but it is, without a doubt, is similar to an orb almost, but far more, direct in its connection, and definitely, as opposed to anything else, it seems to value the concept of, destruction.
So more like a Par-Wraith orb than a Prophet orb.
Similar, yeah.
Aleska frowns at her memory and then looks at the duty roster and see where Apricity is right now.
Horizon Medical Facility.
And she will go to the medical facility.
Right. You arrived there with no trouble.
I will probably most likely be found in my office if I'm not, like, actively supervising a surgery or something.
And I ring the buzzer to your office.
Come on in.
I received your email, Doctor.
Thank you. That was actually really prompt of you.
Well, the reason being is I think I just had a vision. And I will describe to Apricity the vision that I had.
Does that ring any bells for me?
No.
Good, because Zaz doesn't know anything about this. Do you mind if I just take a scan to be safe?
Of course not, Doctor.
I will proceed to just take a scan to be safe.
Not gonna make you roll for anything. They are in perfect health.
And they're baseline human?
Yeah.
With nothing funky going on?
Not that you can discern, no, not through a medical tricorder.
Okay, that's what I figured. I just wanted to make sure that I hadn't, like, been blatantly missing something obvious this entire time.
Question for player here. Would it determine their age at this point? Or no?
That's a very good question. Would it determine their biological age, at least? Even if that's not necessarily accurate to how many years they have actually lived?
Yeah, it would probably determine their, like, age on file.
But is it pulling it from the file, or?
Yeah.
Like, that's the question?
Yeah, it's pulling it from the file.
Okay.
But what the file says might be different than what the body says.
Yeah, that's why you're here, buddy. Well, for this vision that you've had, I would like to write it up and put it in your file. I don't see any health concerns immediately available, so this might be more of a question for the captain.
To me, it sounded almost like a Bajoran vision. At least from what I've read.
I don't know anything about that, I'm sorry.
You haven't watched DS9?
I watch episodes sporadically. I basically watch an episode when it's on the TV.
Oh. But you said you had something else besides this vision to talk to me about, Doctor.
Yes. Apricity's going to set a data pad down on their desk for Aleska to look over. And if you do look it over, it is your current medical record.
Which is really sparse.
Which is incredibly sparse.
Mm-hmm.
I have reason to believe after our last mission that you may have knowingly falsified your records.
Not falsified, more like protection, Doctor.
Is this something I just don't have the clearance to know?
Before we proceed, I would like to bring the captain in on this. Because he would be needing to know this as well.
Certainly. I guess we're roping the captain in now.
Yep.
Okay. Well, as you are heading up there, just as the things happen every now and again, Admiral Dax has checked in on recent events. She is currently on the view, like hollow viewer, clearly sitting at a desk, working through tons of data pads from whatever disaster has occurred. Primarily, probably your inheritor problem that's kind of on the back burner right now. As she goes over your recent mission logs and things like that. So, the Department of Temporal Investigations in San Francisco paid me a visit as well. That's, you're not even a year out there. I honestly thought it would take a little bit before time travel was something on your list of things. She kind of goes through Captain Phillips. She kind of frowns slightly at one of these data pads and then looks like as a looks more personalized to her.
So the captain just looks and waits for her to say something.
Yep. Sorry, Captain. I'm looking through and it seems my orders are changing.
What do you mean? Your orders are changing.
Well, it doesn't look like I'm going to be the overall supervisory admiral for Horizon Station for too much longer. It looks like I have a temporary tenure over at Narendra.
Then if you're going there, who is temporarily taking your place?
I'm not entirely sure. I'll definitely get that information to you as quickly as possible, but seems a little sudden.
Yeah. Not even a year in, and I'm already going to have my supervisor replaced.
Comes with the territory of wearing bars instead of pips.
Fair enough.
I'll see if I can dig it up on file and send that to you later.
I appreciate it.
Well, hopefully the next couple weeks for you will be less eventful, and if with any luck, I won't see any mission reports from Horizon titled Urgent in a little bit.
Well, we can only hope, and I got my fingers crossed.
Well, For you, Captain Phillips, as she seems like she's about to say something, there is a shift, a shake, a rock, and then every single bit of lighting flickers for a moment before the hollow feed just gone.
God damn it, what the heck was that?
Well, we'll get to that. Neshek,
Alright.
what are you up to right now?
Honestly, I'm probably having to teach the crew of the Columbia how to use a computer.
Well, a more advanced version of the systems, yeah. It's not that they're slow learners, not even remotely. They're just not super into it right now.
I mean, they're, what, 3 centuries displaced, right?
Yeah, roughly.
And anyways, we go here to the Settings tab. I understand that while many of you this may seem familiar, you will have to trust and say that when you actually get working with these, you will find that much has changed under the hood, and that is reflected in the user interface. Anybody have any questions at the moment?
One of them speaks up. No, not really. Other than the overly technical language, then it's been insightful.
Well, glad to help now that you know how to change the desktop background. Let's move on to setting up your emails.
I don't... the temporal affairs would have already definitely been with the Columbia crew at some point or another, so that's also testing the patience. Captain Hernandez, who is kind of watching from the background before leaving. Overall, mostly goes well up until there's a slight rumble within the floor. The bulkheads overhead creak a little bit. The lighting flickers. There's a slight shake as that all happens before it stops, and the computer systems kind of flicker a bit, stutter, turn off, and then go back to normal in a small bit of time.
Especially once they restart, Neshek's going to get that expression of, oh, not again. Really, the first thing I do before anything else is just check with engineering and see if it's the power or warp cores again.
The engineering crew replies rather quickly.
Oops.
Everything's fine down here. We felt it. I'm not really sure what happened. And then
Understood.
the alerts start going off. There is a immediate several airlocks and like sections have been blocked off, as well as shields have been raised in certain areas. Force fields have been raised on deck 13, which is the civilian governmental quarter of the station.
So they've, in the sense that this area has been locked down, or somebody's made a little maze trap.
As in, likely something has exploded.
Oh. Let's pass that on to security, and then try raising up our civilian liaison pride. Notion I should probably call somebody to check on the vice president too, but let's talk to pride first.
Okay. For Aleska and Apricity, you are seconds away from ringing the door to the captain's ready room before that happens.
I just give Aleska a look like you get out of it this time.
The British have an old saying, when it rains, it pours. And she will turn to go to the ops station.
Yep. The tactical holographic overlay of the entire station is there. It's not a huge explosion to the point where it's detrimental to the entire systems of Horizon Station. However, it is a disturbing portion of it. The scar that is across is probably about, comparative to station, not very big, but it's still fairly large. The scar where the explosions have happened have tossed out certain things into space. The holes that are there are roughly, well, the biggest one is roughly about 22 meters in length. Not exactly sure what happened there, but
Aleska is very loudly asking for a report.
Okay. Some of the crew members going through are looking. Man, we're not really sure what happened here. We were checking systems, everything was nominal, and then it's almost as if they just weren't. No errors, no indications, nothing. It just seems to have happened because it wanted to.
Scan the areas of the explosions and scan for chronotons.
Okay.
Because after the whole time travel thing, Aleska is very suspicious.
Yeah, going through. It's not. It's not so much chronotons. It's something similar. But at the rate they're there and the bits and particles you've detected, they've been there for a while. They're similar, but they're not exactly the same.
Almost like anti-chronotons?
kind of.
And she will coordinate with both her security team and engineering to send people to those explosion sites.
Okay.
We should probably head back to the hospital unless I'm needed on the bridge. What do you think would be better, Commander?
Probably best to be in sick bay, because you'll be more efficient there, I suppose.
Alright.
Alright.
I'll hopefully meet the medical teams returning from the civilian ward if they're injuries.
Right. As all of this is happening, Lance Corporal West, where do you think you are during this whole event as it occurs?
Well, I was going to play around with that collapsible phaser that I got from Section 31, but every time I seem to start playing around with it, something happened, so I got to tuck it away again, and then...
Okay.
So I would be reporting to wherever I'm told to report to, basically.
Alright. Given events and how things go down the chain of command, where you're located, you're probably told, along with several security teams, to go, security and engineering teams, to figure out what the hell happened in the civilian sect. Upon arriving there, the United Federation Embassy sect seems relatively untouched. Seems like it's got some dark marks where burn marks have maybe hit across the glass and slightly cracked. However, certain other areas do not seem super great. The Romulan and Klingon embassies seem to have some of the most damage, where this explosion might have been somewhat centralized near it. The small, very odd compartments for the small bit of the Tholian embassy is untouched completely. And various other members have marks on it. A lot of the representatives from the Federations of Planets they're not doing so great. There's definitely bruises, concussions. There's a lot of different casualty rates. It doesn't seem like a whole lot of death. It seems like maybe there's, as far as fatalities, maybe 2 or 3. It doesn't seem super large in that. As far as like fatalities, injury wise, you're probably looking at somewhere anywhere from 70 to 160-ish.
It's a pretty widespread.
Yeah.
Well, this is fun. I guess I'll when I get to the hospital, I will make sure. Or actually, since I can just be in since I am also in the hospital as I am walking to the hospital, I'll just send people to meet the security team at the civilian ward for evacuations and whatever.
All right. Captain Phillips, well, that shaken explosion has occurred. Are you exiting your ready room to deal with this?
Yeah, I'm basically my ready room. Open
Okay.
right out to the obsession.
Neshek has already taken the initiative. She has brought Representative Pride up onto the view screen immediate. Definitely looks a little worse for wear. Her hair is definitely slightly downwards, not as updo as it usually is, and definitely slight scratches and what looks to be like minor burn marks that have occurred here. We don't know what happened down here either. We're reeling from it, and right now we're just reacting.
Understood. I'm merely trying to take an accounting of important personnel.
I will give you numbers as they come in, but I don't know. I'm gonna have a sit down and a talk with the vice president at some point. She's busy dealing with already some paranoid fallout from the event, as some embassies were completely untouched.
Which embassies were touched?
Romulan, Klingon, Ferengi, Andorian, a couple of other races. The Vulcan one is a little bit messed, but it's overall fine.
Clarification, were these... We might not have this information at this point because it's still coming in. Were these one bomb, like, on, like, Embassy Row or something, or were these multiple explosions?
Yeah, that's actually the part of the reason why I went silent was because my whole tablet, which had my character sheet, restarted on itself. I do have a talent or focus in ordinances. Wes would be looking for all the information about the explosives that he can.
Alright. Why don't you make a... Insight security check with a difficulty of 2.
And does ordinance count?
Yes, it will.
Awesome. In which case, I have a 4, which is a critical, and a 14. So 2 successes exactly.
Perfect. So with that, looking through it, this was definitely or appears to have been multiple explosive devices, or at the very least had a centralized zone before dispersing more to do more damage. Interestingly enough, you're not finding any shards of any explosive device. No burnt metal, no welded fuse. You're not finding any of that.
Any idea what could have? Would I have any idea as to what would have caused that?
It's almost as if someone took an explosive at the end of like a very long yo-yo and just started bouncing it around. As to what exactly can do that, you're not entirely sure.
Yeah, that's. I would be basically reporting all of my findings to Lieutenant Commander Aleska.
Okay.
And Aleska would take those findings and coordinate those with the security teams on site.
Okay. Actually, for you, Lance Corporal West, you actually do run into Representative Pride as she moves through. Lance Corporal West, I see you and security teams have arrived. I don't exactly know what happened. I can't give you too much of a report myself. I'm about to go speak with the Vice President and hope we can figure something out.
I'm sure somebody with more rank than I will be around shortly to get your statements.
Well, statements, dealing with a growing angry crowd.
Was there something else, or am I keeping you from your meeting with the Vice President?
You're not. If anything you feel needs to be done, use your best judgment. You're more experienced in certain fields than I am.
Very well. I will not keep you then.
Alright,
And I will continue on.
She heads off. And to lead into that, for Neshek, Aleska, and Captain Phillips, the view screen has been turned into kind of like a holographic circular set of screens with different representatives that still have working feeds either on a ship or whatnot. And they're all a little bit in a state of chaotic din before the Vice President yells a little bit to silence them before. Alright, now that everyone has gotten their discourse out of the way, but we all work together and figure out what the hell happened.
I already have teams working on that now, as we speak.
Okay, well, teams working, let's theorize. What does anyone gain by doing this?
To sow confusion.
Okay, well, we're stating the obvious right now. What else, what benefit, aside from the confusion?
Oh, if they wanted our attention, they got it.
Well, clearly they want our attention, but why?
Now, that's the why we need to figure out. We need to figure out why they did it and why they wanted our attention so bad that they decided to bomb NBC World. Because a lot of our NBCs got hit in this situation.
I'm aware. I was there.
Well, Madam Vice President, I'm just glad you're okay.
Yeah, well, not a lot of others are.
Could this be perhaps more of our Inheritors problem?
Potentially. It could be part of the Inheritors problem, but I'm not entirely sure this is... They've waited a very long time to do this, if that's the case. A few months now.
Well, we'll put a pin in that theory for now, just in case it does not turn out to be them. But if it does, then we can work that angle and see what else is going on. But for right now, what we need to figure out what kind of bomb they used, what kind of bomb was used. We could track it down to the detonator. We could track it down to the culprit and get our answers.
The closest thing that we have been able to find, according to our sensors, is something similar to anti-chronoton radiation.
What the hell is anti-chronoton radiation?
I have no idea. It's way above my engineering pay grade. But perhaps someone at the Daystrom Institute would have more information.
I can send word out. It'll take several hours to get a reply of anything.
And if not the Daystrom Institute, then certainly the Department of Temporal Investigations probably knows a lot more.
Department of
Since they do deal with time travel, and chronotons typically are part of time travel, although I've never heard them used in explosions like this.
Right, okay, well, let's add more complicated things. Have any other areas of the station been hit?
It's only the civilian quarter, correct?
Yes.
At the moment.
No. Only the civilian quarter has been hit. If the Inheritors hadn't already tried to kill cadets, I would have thought it would be more something that the Tal Shiar would do, or the old Obsidian Order.
Even remnants of those sects, this is a bit bold even for them.
Well, they did once try to attack the Founder homeworld.
That's true. Okay, well. This is an event, and given how delicate the situation is, I'm gonna have to make a call, as it were, to the President of the United Federation of Planets as well.
Was the Tholian embassy hit?
No, the Tholian embassy is fine.
Because I would not want angry Tholians at our doorstep right now.
Alright. Actually, Apricity, as you are doing that, checking electronically for something, what are you checking electronically?
This sounds kind of vague, so I can narrow it down if you need me to, but basically Apricity is attempting to check for signs that there is something else going on while everybody is distracted by the explosion. So, like, anything happening in terms of, did any weird, were any alarms recently disabled elsewhere on the station? Did some ship just leave dock? Just, basically doing a general what the fuck else is going on in the station check.
Okay.
With as much time as they have before they are required for a surgery or anything. Which, there are other surgeons and doctors and the like, but... low-key, but more just because I have free time and the extra processing power to do it while Aleska is otherwise distracted by the current primary problem.
So you're just checking for anything weird going on?
Yeah.
Okay. You know what? Then you can make a... This is going to be an insight security. And this is going to be a difficulty of 4.
Yeah, this is probably going to be up to you anyway, Aleska. I don't think I have anything that can make this feasible. We'll see how close I get. That is 2 successes.
Okay. With 2 successes out of the 4.
Do you have any values that you can use or determination?
Well, I mean, my values I feel like would might. I have 2 values that might apply here.
Alright, well, which one?
Nothing is beyond repair. And violence solves nothing.
Nothing is beyond repair actually will qualify here.
And what does a value fitting do again? I'm sorry.
It gives you 2 automatic successes.
Oh, then that's 4 successes.
Okay. With that being said then, going through various, like, security feeds, specifically the embassy quarter, just, like, going through it, the feeds for all of that stutter for a second before, just staticking out. To anyone else, it looks like a stutter. It absolutely looks like a stutter, and it just looks like something that happens just before the explosion. You, who are able to calculate things a little bit faster than most anyone, $11 seconds. 11 seconds of that security feed is not there.
Okay. They presumably looped the feed or already destroyed the evidence. Is there any signs of is there any can't figure out a good way to phrase this. Has anybody recently accessed this feed other than me and presumably like Neshek or Aleska?
Oh man, we're gonna keep doing this.
Like anybody other than one of the senior officers that are currently
This one is going to be a reason security with a difficulty of 3.
Okay. Oh, I didn't roll nearly as well there. Reason security.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to use my augmented ability for success.
Alright.
And that would make it, unless one of my values applies, still 2 successes. So I rolled a 14 and a 10.
Alright. Someone has accessed this. Hard to slice exactly who. However, given the authority of things, definitely someone from the civilian section.
Okay. I have a question. I don't know if I can determine the answer, but if I can, I would like to know if I can't tell who is accessing it because it's basically like out of my pay grade, or if I just don't have the necessary access to various electronic things. Or if it's just not recorded who is currently accessing the.
As a doctor, and with holding the rank of commander, you have a level 9 security clearance.
Okay.
This looks like this is going to require a security clearance of a level 12 or higher.
Do I know what Aleska and the captain's security clearances are? Are they in their files?
Aleska actually, given that they are the XO of Ops, has the same level of security clearance as you. Captain Phillips has a security clearance of level 10.
Ah, damn. Okay, I will forward the information that I was able to gather to Aleska and the captain then. Actually, I'm going to send it to Neshek as well. Sorry, West.
Okay.
Basically, just like the information that I gathered about the looped footage and the
Alright.
somebody else is currently or was very recently accessing security feeds.
Alright. The discussion amongst up at Ops with all these different representatives and embassy ambassadors has gone back up into uproar before the vice president just shouts loudly, "Quiet! Can we not discuss civilly? I understand this is incredibly troubling for all of you fellow ambassadors. I truly understand. Pointing fingers doesn't help anyone."
Would I have received Apricity's data through my data pad?
Yeah, you would have received that data through, within the midst of that entire yelling before it was quelled.
Would the captain get that too? I mean,
yes, I sent it to Aleska, the captain, and Neshek.
Right. So the captain wouldn't answer that right away. I said, look at everybody and say, look, I know everybody is upset, everybody is in the uproar, but right now, we need to come together as a community and help one another, especially the ones who are wounded in this attack. Pointing fingers, like the vice president said, solves nothing. It just divides us apart. This station was put here to show that different races can come together and cohesively work together. Now is a good time to show that we can do that.
And to that end, we may have some evidence as to who might have done this, but neither the captain or I have the required security clearance to view it. And Aleska will throw up on the screen from her data pad the 11 minutes or 11 seconds?
11 seconds.
Of the footage, and also the requisite security clearance needed to view it.
Which was the required clearance for that? It wasn't.
Level 12 or higher.
God damn it.
That requires the rank of a... In terms of Starfleet, it requires the rank of at least a Commodore or higher.
Commodore or president status.
Or the vice president.
Exactly.
I have the clearance for it. I can unlock this. It'll take a moment or two, but I can do it.
Let's see what its secrets it reveals.
Exactly.
Alright. The program runs to unlock the missing feed. Takes time. It takes a moment. It's still a little... It's still a little staticky. That could just be due to the fact that it's been purged originally. However, it does... Image you're getting does look very similar to Representative Pride. The device being used does not appear to be any sort of weapon that you understand. It appears to be this orb-like relic in a state of constant chaos. It's almost like spell slinging, as it's thrown outwards and as an explosion occurs. Representative Pride, who is part of this call, is a little shocked.
And before anyone tries to bring up shouts and arguments, do keep in mind that there is holographic technology that makes one person look like another.
And I can assure each and every one of you that I promise you I did not do such a thing. If we need interrogations, I will cooperate fully, but...
And there are plenty of betazoids on the station that can confirm or deny what Representative Pride is thinking.
Alright, well. Most are a little bit... At least half of this group is willing to wait on that. Before, the other half, initiated actually, by the Tholians, who quite literally, more or less demand for, immediate imprisonment for endangerment of safety within the embassy sect.
Temporary brig assignment would be advisable right now, just so that until the betazoid interrogation can be completed.
I understand.
Representative Pride, we will get to the bottom of this. But for right now, you are remanded to the brig until further investigation. Is there any security near her that can escort her to the brig?
Yeah, there's plenty of security around there where that whole event is happening.
And I will tap my combat and say, Phillips to security.
Security here.
Take Representative Pride and remand them to the brig temporary until we get to the bottom of this investigation. She is a person of interest.
Yes, sir. And they presumably switch off the comms in order to do that.
Well, I hope that appeases everybody for right now
Yeah.
until we get to the bottom of this. It was mostly directed to the Tholians.
Okay. I like that. Well, given Tholian personalities, why don't you make me a presence command roll with a difficulty of 3?
Oh, lovely.
Wouldn't
Wait,
it
you're
be
going to see
4?
the Tholian?
No, I told the Tholian because the Tholians went Pride imprisoned. I put them in the break. I want to see their reaction to the fact that I acquiesced to their request. The fact that I put Pride basically in jail.
It's
Okay.
it's more of a reactory to the kind of overstepping on the Tholians. Not that it's really an overstep, it's just Tholians are prideful.
It's just to work around. With diplomacy, my focus in diplomacy work here.
Yes.
Okay. And I do have a value. It's the idea of a captain to remain calm in a crisis. So.
Yeah, I can see how that applies.
Hey, so what was it? It was reason command?
It was presence command.
Okay.
And I am going to dump half the threat points here to spend 5 points of threat.
Fuck! Okay. So I got us 2 focus. I got two successes off my focus. So see where I can pull out of my butt now. Let me add up. Huh? I'm good. I got 11.
Okay. Hold on. Let me check really quick. I just need to look at your stats. Okay. Presence. Okay. That's all you needed. I just wanted to make sure, because if you had rolled a 15, there would have been other problems.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about it. My dice left me today.
But, yeah, the Tholian does back down. Definitely it is a back down mainly because a further conflict doesn't really benefit anything. However, they are not happy about it, and they clearly do not like you for it, but they're not gonna
say it out loud. Yeah.
Afterwards, the vice president speaks up. Hopefully that is a brief and subtle reminder that a level head is needed in a situation like this. Thank you, Captain. I understand you and I don't always get along, but in this, I believe it behooves us to do such.
Especially in situations such as this. Yes, I agree.
Alright. For this time being, I believe this conference of ambassadors is ended. Captain, do your end of the investigation. I'll do mine.
As you command, Vice President, and I will keep you informed on my progress.
Please do.
We both did that at the same time.
Lance Corporal West, you're probably down with the security team, so just to keep things moving along here as well.
I would like to say if Lance Corporal West is in the area, especially when he was looking at the bombs, if you have like a GoPro, Neshek would be watching your GoPro because basically she's showing what you're seeing to the engineering team so they can try to figure out the bombs as well. But
Okay.
that's all.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something that Wes would actually have on him due to some of the things that he's been up to in his career.
Alright. The security team with Representative Pride have passing. Because they don't have the full grasp of anything, she is in fact cuffed because they don't know if this is true or not. However, going through and looking around Lance Corporal West, you do find something a little strange, kind of embedded in the wall. Very small, but since you are kind of looking for some stuff like this, it's almost like a purple-black shard. Almost would have missed it if you weren't looking for some form of ordnance, just pulsing a little bit.
Just to double check, is my camera working? Are you seeing this?
Am I seeing this?
Yeah, you're seeing it.
We've got a clear feed on our end, Corporal.
Recommendations?
I shall defer to engineering in this instance, because this is nothing I recognize.
I'm going to look around while they're asking engineering. And if there's people here, I'm going to tell them to get back.
Okay. You do so, and as engineering observes from ops and on site, one of the engineers, or the ones that are, well, you've run into them before. Your current member in disguise, Warrant Officer Cadria, is looking over this. Okay, well, this is new. Very different. And I can say with 100% certainty, I have no idea what this is.
I am so glad that we have an expert in the field to assist us with this.
Listen, I come from a very weird slice of reality, and I haven't seen anything like this. Even, well, actually, pulls out tricorder and scans over it. It looks like it's slightly displaced. Not in, like, time or anything like that. It It looks like it's not supposed to be here. I realize how that sounds. Okay.
It sounds like that you are an expert in that field, ma'am.
Neshek will dutifully page the science department.
One of the scientists go through and... I mean... one of the scientists gives relatively the same answer. It looks a little displaced. Definitely not from around here.
Could I get an assessment as to whether or not it is safe for our security team to remove from the area?
I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you, Commander. I have no idea. Disturbance could put it back into a sleight of phase, and I don't know if that would be helpful or detrimental to the people immediately in the vicinity. Conversely, it could just be pulsing and could randomly explode at any point in time, or it is simply leftover residue. I don't have any understanding of what this is. I have no way of telling. The data that's being put in doesn't make sense to me. It reads somewhat like an energy signature similar to ours, but not. I don't know how to describe it.
Clarification. So, West, you found this in a wall of one of the buildings, or just like...
Yeah, it's just embedded
hanging
slightly
out?
into a wall. It's like a small little splinter.
Okay. Corporal, leave the security team to ensure nobody interacts with the object, as well as to just monitor its change. Otherwise, continue your search. Science and engineering, keep thinking on this. Ideally, we can have this removed and examined removed to a science lab for further examination.
Good thing I already cleared
But
the
I'm
area.
trusting you to do that, to find a way to do that as safely as possible.
We might be able to cut through the bulkhead and then get a camera back behind it.
Well, if it's in a building, can't you just go inside?
No, because it's embedded into a wall, so you would have to... you could go on the other side into, like, one of the rooms, but you would still have to get in from behind a little bit.
Yeah, the idea that I'm having is basically mostly what Scotty and Enterprise did, or alternatively in Enterprise with Archer and Malcolm Reed with that mine where they had to do it a little bit of ways from the mine, detaching the plating.
Oh, okay, I get what you said.
Sort of idea.
Yeah, I get
So that way we're not disturbing it, but then we can get a camera into the bulkhead through the wall around where it is to see just how far embedded it is and if it's even able to be lifted off.
Okay. That will take a little bit of time, and scientists kind of looking through camera and observing it. There's a science officer, I believe it's my expert opinion, that you maybe avoid physical contact with this item, if at all possible. The one Officer Cadria responding in kind as you respond to her. I'm so glad we have an expert in the field.
Do you think that it's safe to actually cut around it to move it?
In theory, yes, as long as we don't disturb it too much. If it has any sort of, if any form of harmonics are a trigger, we don't want to vibrate it too aggressively, but I think if we keep a fair distance away from it, we can do it.
I am open to suggestions on how you suggest that we cut this thing out of the wall from a distance. On a station that is sorely undersupplied.
We just burn a few cells from a phaser. Near max setting should be able to pierce right through it.
The heat resonating off of a phaser fire would be intense enough to possibly disturb it. Wes is going to double check the explosion radius.
Okay.
And then tell everybody to get back double that distance and hand him a plasma cutter.
Okay.
That's going to be the only thing that's precise enough.
Alright.
And he's going to start working on this.
Alright, I think this is control engineering. We'll do a difficulty of 3 for this one.
Would my focus and ordinances apply?
Yes, it would.
And just because I want to play it safe, could I burn a value for this?
Which one?
Improvise, adapt, overcome.
Yeah.
Would Aleska have come down by that point to see what was going on?
Yep, before I roll.
Yes.
Lieutenant Commander, if you could just stay back where everyone else is. And then I will update the Lieutenant Commander on the situation and what I'm about to do.
Alright. Yeah,
Okay, rolling. Said, control engineering.
correct.
Well, it's a good thing I burned my value then, because I only rolled a 14 and a 12. 4 successes. Congratulations, everybody. We have our first momentum of the game.
Alright. It is definitely slow going, just simply because you don't want to rush anything. However, you are able to safely remove it, though it is a larger piece than you were expecting, just to play it safe.
Yeah, I would imagine it's at least a dinner plate or that serving plate that you would have to put a Thanksgiving turkey on.
Yeah, it's about that size.
And then after I get it off and then I'm holding it, I'm just going to look up and say, could everyone keep a minimum of this distance while I bring this over to engineering? So basically, I want a ring of security people around me and through the halls, making sure that everybody just clears the space around me as I pray this thing doesn't explode while I walk.
Okay.
We do have maglifts, and we do have portable force fields to put around it.
I don't want the stray vibrations to possibly set this off.
Fair enough.
Alright. Ring of people. Not that difficult to conjure up in this instance.
I'm probably just muttering to myself, please don't explode, please don't explode, please don't explode, with every step.
Alright. As you...
Engineering would have some sort of bomb disposal thing, I would think, at this point.
They definitely do.
Why don't we wheel that down here instead of me walking that whole way?
It's probably a good idea. Alright,
I'd probably say that after about the 10th step.
realizing maybe that, 300 plus steps is probably not the greatest.
Don't get me wrong, everyone. I appreciate that you let me get this far, but come on.
Bob's squad would be screaming at us.
Well, they're late to arrive on scene as usual, so I mean, it's on track.
Ouch. But fair.
Yeah. You guys let a crayon eater beat you to the punch again. I'll stop.
Oh, wow. Holy shit. Oh my god. Those are some class...
Wes apparently is in a mood today. I don't know what to say.
Yeah. Well, that is all happening. The interrogation with empath and telepath, a combination of both Betazoids, have interrogated and looked into Representative Pride's mind and emotions. She clearly 100% believes and feels that she didn't do it. Are you actually there, Neshek?
No, I'm not actually there. I'm making a Pizza Hut Taco Bell.
I know. I just wanted to double check.
I'm not actually there.
Okay, but that news does eventually reach the captain and Neshek, as you are still dealing with a little bit of fallout from different
Yeah, and
the vice president, having reasonably been notified that at such time, is once again on the view screen. I don't know if that's a comfort or a discomfort to the rest of the ambassadors.
Yeah. I don't know how we're going to explain this one without having people angry or disappointed or relieved. It's a whole bag of emotions right now.
Agreed, Captain, but we're gonna have to figure it out.
Just to clarify, and let me know if this makes sense, these Inheritors, what we know about them so far is that they're some type of splinter faction originating in Section 31 that seems to have some type of extremist pro-human stance, and the idea that there's some type of Borg threat that humans are uniquely equipped for, or somehow non-humans are not equipped for, or subversive in some way towards the defense efforts. Is that a reasonable conclusion to draw from everything we've seen from them so far?
Yeah, I think so.
If I may suggest, I believe our inability to explain would be the point.
I don't
Currently, right now, the number one suspect of the investigation is the civilian liaison Pride, correct?
That would be correct.
Evidence.
That's seeming
evidence showing her direct involvement was shown to all of the non-human ambassadors, sealed behind a top secret, well, beyond top secret security clearance that had to be unlocked by yourself, Vice President. And now it seems as such that any action we take appears to be covering one of our own. We are in a position where we cannot, unless we have an overwhelming amount of evidence, we cannot reasonably justify, or not reasonably justify, reasonably expect the others to believe that the civilian liaison is truly innocent. Furthermore, that such a high-level member of our, not of Starfleet, but of the United Federation, is seemingly involved, wittingly or unwittingly, in such an event. Again, the lack of trust means that we will likely see a retreating of non-humans from interactions with the station, and perhaps with the United Federation as a whole. The withdrawal of, say, for instance, the Klingon or Romulan warbirds from around the station would leave us extremely exposed for any other future actions by the Inheritors. In this sense, the bombings did not even have to kill anyone, they just needed to be confusing enough to not be solved in a satisfactory manner.
Your logic makes sense, Commander, and I'm forced to make a very difficult choice now. Damn it! Captain Phillips, we still have access to several faster warp-capable ships, do we not?
Yes, and mine is currently docked at this moment.
Can't afford to send the Hera.
Yeah, I know.
We'll use one of our Intrepid-class ships. And whether or not you agree with this decision, Representative Pride is to be escorted out of the brig, boarded onto the USS Jaeger, and to return to the Sol system to stand trial for a politically motivated attack. She will be tried and most likely found guilty of such actions. And will likely face heavy charges and imprisonment in the near future.
You're right, I don't like it, but it's the only option we got until we can get to the bottom of this.
Captain, it's designed in such a confusing way. It could take months or years. I don't like this game.
I don't either.
But sometimes to win the board and hit checkmate, you're gonna have to sacrifice a piece.
Yeah, and this is, it's a sacrificial play, but if it gets us closer to the end game, then yeah, we gotta play the hand that we're dealt. So Captain Phillips will tap his comm badge and say, Phillips to security.
Security here.
Escort Representative Pride out of the break to the USS Jaeger. She is to...
The vice president cuts in. Captain,
Ma'am?
just have her sent to the Jaeger. I will inform the captain discreetly.
Have Representative Pride report to the Jaeger.
Yes, Captain. The security feed cuts out. There's a brief...
Vice President, before we sign off, is it possible I reviewed the minutes and I believe Commander Aleska brought up the possibility of the footage of Representative Pride being doctored in some fashion. Would it be possible for me to have that recording file so I could analyze it?
I'll send it over to...
It was actually already sent to you.
Oh, you...
Remember, I sent it to all three of you.
Right, but it was locked at that point. I need the unlocked version.
Oh, I'm sorry. I misunderstood. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Yeah, I can do that. Understand, Commander, that to continue a form of unity, I have to move fast. If you can find something in a respectable time frame, maybe. But the damage might have already been done.
Understood, Vice President. If nothing else, it will be part of the investigation later on. Respectfully, Captain, I need to return to my station.
I just nod my head at this point.
I need to do something when the Vice President sends me that file. But that could happen later.
Right. As the Vice President kind of puts her hands, her face in her hands, kind of lets out a heavy breath. Alright. Captain Phillips, as of this moment, that will be the official story. It will be sealed. And it is to be considered confidential, classified, and top secret. Any break of investigation without my knowledge or authority will be considered a form of treason against Starfleet and the United Federation of Planets. As Representative Pride is taken to the Sol system to stand trial for her actions. Without her say-so.
Okay.
Understood. And the captain will pass those orders to the rest of his senior staff, which will include, in this case, as Corporal West, Chief Medical Officer Apricity, and my ex Aleska. I mean, since they haven't gotten the orders yet, I figure I pass them around.
Well, Neshek was there though.
Neshek was there when
Nope,
he was
I don't
there.
know.
Neshek was there when that happened, so yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it.
I'm just passing on to the rest of the
Get
senior
it in
staff.
writing, Captain.
Yeah, and basically he puts it in writing on a pad,
All right.
just in
Vice
case.
President looks. Honestly, she looks really defeated by this. Before. She speaks once again. Captain, as I said, without my express permission or further authority from the United Federation of Planets, governmental authorities, as I said, investigating further will be considered treason.
And as I said, understood.
But in addition to that, Captain, if you find anything even remotely as discreet or as minute as it might seem, regardless of what I have tossed out just now, unofficially, you go get that son of a bitch.
Madam Vice President, unofficially, I'll get the son of a bitch and present him in front of you before I even turn the son of a bitch over to Starfleet.
You're nicer than I am, before she cuts out the feed.
Is it kind of bad? I know what the vice president was thinking.
Eh.
Because I was thinking maybe she wants to crappy that out of him first before I turn him over to her. Oh well. So I discreetly add this little memo to the rest of the senior staff, including Corporal West, stating unofficially we are to continue the investigation. If we find anything small, minute, anything that would lead us to the culprit responsible, we are to bring them in immediately.
Okay. With that little memo attached to the side.
Lance Corporal West sees that and goes, "Wait, what?"
Well, you gotta have one. But yeah, the bomb disposal does arrive finally. For being placed in. Nothing seems to happen. It is in there though.
Yeah, it is in there, and now when it is moved, even if it does get disturbed, the explosion will be contained. And now it's safe to put a force field also around it, because there's a degree of separation.
And Aleska will go to the computer. Computer, raise a level 12 force field around the bomb disposal.
Okay.
And then West will... I don't want to phrase it this way, but I don't know. The other word escapes me. But basically, saddle up next to Lieutenant Commander Aleska and ask very quietly, "Do the Undine have the tech to do this thing with with explosives?"
It's too technological for them. They prefer biological weapons.
Should we check for the injured, just in case?
And Aleska will nod and direct the medical teams to do the check.
Okay.
Because we don't want anyone to have what happened to Harry Kemp.
Which one of him?
Wow. The check goes by and there isn't anything that flags as alarming in regard to that.
And during all that, Aleska will send a memo to the captain and to Apricity to resume that meeting that was so rudely interrupted.
Okay. With everything going on, a normal meeting seems like a good reprieve from anything else. Well, considering. Listen, I just used the first word that came out of my mouth, okay? But yeah, this is probably being done in the conference room, as this would exclusively be for Captain Phillips, Aleska, and Apricity. I almost said Carmilla. Whoopsies.
The wrong day.
Correct. But yeah, you may now have that discussion. A very interesting one.
I believe you were asking me a question before the incident occurred, Doctor.
Yes. Do I have permission to disclose information from your medical file in front of the captain?
You do indeed.
Aye. Then, just to repeat the question in front of the captain for his sake, I do have good evidence to suggest that you are knowingly falsifying your medical records, and I would like an explanation.
Not falsifying, Doctor, as I said. The lack of information is protection.
Protection from whom? Or for whom?
For me. And Aleska will begin rolling up her sleeve and draws the back knife from her hip holster. This is for demonstrational purposes, Doctor, Captain. And she will run the knife along her arm from wrist to elbow.
I have, a code and everything. Apricity's going to try and. What do I have on hand?
I want to say this out of candor before we continue. To the ones who are watching this on YouTube, we're sorry. It's for demonstrational purposes only. No one is really doing this.
Nope.
Just giving you a little content warning. That's all.
Okay.
But before
Apricity
can move, Aleska will wipe the blood and show the injured arm, to both the captain and the doctor.
The wound itself is closing. at actually a fairly impressive rate.
Not a demonstration that I prefer to make often, but sometimes it helps cut through objections. And she will wipe the blood from the knife and put it back in her holster.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Politely, Aleska. What the fuck?
Well, when one is as immortal as I am, such a demonstration is needed.
Wait, hold on. You're immortal? Like, as in...
I have lived for a very long time, Captain.
Basically, you can't die. Not, you can die, but not
under ordinary circumstances, no, I cannot die.
And you didn't think that your assigned medical practitioner should know about this?
And you're a freaking commanding officer.
Generally, in each new life that I live, only one or two know this secret, because I've had incidents in my past where organizations have found out about me, and the results were most unpleasant.
I don't know how to treat this. I don't know how to treat this. May I ask how?
Well, that's the thing. We don't really know how the immortality is activated or why. All previous attempts to replicate the gene have failed, even with Starfleet's advanced medical tech.
Oh.
Huh.
There are roughly 50 to 100 of us. The oldest of us is 6,000 years old. The youngest is only 200.
And there's no... I'm sorry, I don't understand.
I myself am 2,330 years old. I was born in 79 AD in Rome itself. It is a lot to take in, I know.
Yeah, and I'm saying this now. This conversation stays between the three of us. No one outside this room will ever know about this conversation.
Admiral Janeway knows about me.
Well, outside this room! I didn't see Beck and Soul outside this room on this station. The three of us are the only ones who know. That's fine. The Admiral... Yeah, that's the Admiral. I'm not gonna go against the Admiral. Tell the Admiral, yeah. We don't want you to know anymore. No.
I mean, Lieutenant Corporal West was also standing right there when Aleska very heavily alluded to it and originally set off my bullshit alarm.
Yeah, but me, I just realized something. Me and Neshek was on a time ship where we got the full history on Aleska.
Mm-hmm.
So Neshek knows. Yeah.
Neshek has a understanding that things are not lying. They don't know exactly, like, she doesn't know, like, the full extent of it. She knows things are weird about it, for sure.
Still know
Like
the
I said,
full.
Neshek has the Wikipedia page open to human lifespan. Trying to make sure that she didn't forget something.
You know, I could see that.
That is a faded out.
I mean, Apricity was definitely space Googling, like, instances of immortality in humans. In the back of her mind as Aleska was talking.
And they would also
sorry.
in Captain Cook's logs, Hobogue 917G and Flint would come across those files.
Yep.
Could you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Hobogue 917G and Captain Cook.
Oh, shit. So the captain will go and pull that file up. If anybody asks, if the admiral asks, I said, yes, I know. I was told to look up this file. And, yeah, that should be fun.
And when Flint's picture comes up, I will say, Flint is the oldest of us, at 6,000 years old. He is what you would call our patriarch.
So I take it this gene makes you look young.
Well, it depends
in
on
some cases.
In some cases, my gene activated when I was in my 30s, well after I had had my 3 children.
Huh.
Yeah. As all of you are dealing with that,
Yeah, that's the biggest bombshell that's ever happened in this series.
the whole thing that has cut away there, and we'll fast forward maybe a couple weeks as you get a
I wanted to do something
Okay.
when I got the file from the vice president.
Yes, okay, what are you doing, Neshek? We'll do that first.
It was actually 2 things. One was I wanted to analyze that file because I want to determine if the video was edited or did somebody was the video taken and then somebody edited the footage, or is the footage real and therefore any trickery is happening in the recording? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes, I get what you're saying.
So that's the main thing I want to do with it. The second thing I want to do, and also why I wanted to leave early so I could get to a computer not inside of the vice president, the Pride was being sent to the Jaeger, correct?
Yes.
And the vice president said that they would message the captain discreetly.
Yes.
I want to bug the captain's mailbox. I want to see that discreet message. I just want to do it on the side of the Jaeger rather than on the side of the vice president, because I would be more familiar with the Jaeger's protocols if it's one of our ships.
Okay. Alright. Alright, so looking through the image itself, and such, that is going to be a insight, security, difficulty 4.
Insight security difficulty 4. Let me see. What do I got here that helps me out? constantly watching what I apply here, because it's not like I'm...
No.
Like, there's something dangerous happening, but not... It's not like I'm actually watching, like, a security feed.
Yeah, that doesn't really apply here.
And well, I guess notionally there's a hidden enemy, but, like, they're right there. I don't need help spotting it. This wouldn't count as using a computer system, because I'm the one reviewing it, I think.
Yes, you are the one reviewing it.
So, by extension, I'm not using the ship's computer or sensors either. Okay. Then the only other thing I have is I have focus and pattern recognition and cryptography, if that helps me. But
pattern recognition actually applies here.
Okay, then. And it was insight security?
Correct.
So 15. And difficulty 4. I don't want to spend any momentum. I feel confident. Nope. Not confident enough, though.
Okay. With that, because it's not a total success here, you are looking at the video, and there is pieces of it that you can determine definitely seem off to you. You can't determine whether that's digitally or just the video itself or the externals of when that video was taken. Something about the representative pride in the video that you are seeing bothers you for some reason, because it doesn't feel like it adds up. I mean, in, like, the span of, like, the video, obviously. I mean, things already don't seem like they're adding up very well, but within here, it just looks weird to you for some reason.
One other important question. This was on quote-unquote Embassy Row, right? It's not like this is an empty and not a decent time of day, so there's, like, a bunch of other people on the street as well, too, right?
There's a few, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to come back to that later, but that's good to know.
Mm-hmm. All right.
But then, bugging the Jaeger.
Okay. Bugging the Jaeger. Well, you are invading a foreign system to do this, so that's gonna be another check. I think this is a daring engineering roll, and this is going to be a difficulty of 2.
Daring engineering difficulty 2.
Yes.
We do have 1 momentum.
We do have 1 momentum. I have computer telecom networks as a focus, and then computer expertise for a free bonus D20. The question is if I want to use the ship's computer or not, because if I use the ship's computer, it's going to come back and bite us in the ass if I fuck up. How confident am I in my ability to lie? Not very. Yeah, so we'll just do daring engineering with the focus in telecom and the one bonus die just from being real good at computers.
Okay.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's not bad.
I think that's another momentum because it was difficulty 2.
Correct.
So 2 momentum total now.
Yes. it is a chore to get into these computer systems. Intrepid class vessels are known for their scientific computer systems and science labs and things like that, so it is, in that aspect, it's reinforced. It's moving through really delicately. Any tiny mess up will alert the entire ship systems, but you make your way through as delicately as possible, as nerve-wracking as it is. But yeah, you basically bug the ship's computer, and you can see the message come up. The message that comes up is what you expect to see. Orders to bring Representative Pride to the Sol system for...
I was about to say, you have to clarify what I expect to see, because I do not have a high opinion of the vice president.
Okay. Well, okay, so what you do see is Representative Pride is captain of the USS Jaeger is to deliver Representative Pride to the Sol system, where they will be given a trial on Earth within Starfleet, over Starfleet and the United Federation of Planets for treasonous acts and the like. More or less what was discussed in the
Gotcha.
meeting.
It's not a secret communique between the vice president and the captain basically saying Representative Pride is getting too nosy, take her out back.
No.
Okay. Well, there goes that theory. Then, aside from just generally coordinating the investigation in other aspects, Neshek will spend these next few weeks doing one computer forensics immediately on the shutdown. Well, yeah, computer forensics on what caused the shutdown this time, as well as for every positive ID on the other people in that clip of Representative Pride that was recovered.
Mm-hmm.
I want to track as well as I can everywhere they've been on the station for the 3 days prior to the incident.
Okay. Well, you are in the midst of doing that, and that's gonna take a while, just because of the station is massive. Set up that program, but as I was saying, we'll pull ahead, maybe a couple weeks ahead of time. Who would be... Yeah. It's another late night report for you, Captain Phillips, going through. Off to the side, you have your own little evidence chain video things that you're doing off to the side involving the whole incident that happened a couple weeks ago. It's slowed down. Not that anyone's giving up on trying to figure this out, but it has slowed down. But it's there off to the side, constantly running through programs, anything that could pick up of anything of interest. For Admiral Dax does give you a call for you, because it is early morning for her and late at night for you. She kind of appears on the view screen. My bad, Captain. I forget that our displacement in various local sectors or times are very different. If I had known, I would have called a little bit earlier.
It's alright, Admiral. Everything okay?
No, it's not.
I assume that this call was about who is temporarily replacing you while you go to the other station.
And that's part of it. The other part is... I understand that the USS Jaeger left Horizon a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
We're not...
Have they made it?
No, not even remotely. We... There was a distress signal that was picked up by a Romulan Deuterics warbird. The Jaeger suffered a catastrophic warp core breach.
Any survivors?
That's still being determined, but as far as we can tell, it doesn't seem like any of the escape pods were managed to be launched.
Well, damn.
But I was given at least some insight as to what occurred. I'm terribly sorry to bring you that news, Captain. And I'm terribly sorry that I believe this will be our last communique for a while or ever.
Yeah, I'm sorry too. I was actually was enjoying our calls, Admiral.
I was too. It was a different reprieve from desk work. Narendra should provide its own challenges, but... well, I looked at the file of who's on the way. They should be there.
Mm-hmm.
Should be there in a few weeks.
Well, don't leave me in suspense, Admiral. Who is it?
How much do you know of Admiral Christine Vale?
Not much. I know they worked their butts off to get to where they're at.
She used to be the XO of the previous USS Titan. She commands her own Titan-class vessel these days, and that is the ship on the way.
Oh, that's gonna be lovely.
She's not as patient as I am, so...
Yeah, that guy said this is gonna be lovely. She's a no-nonsense kind of person.
yeah.
So, looks like we're gonna be walking on eggshells around her. Lovely.
Well, we'll see. She's a full rank above me, so...
Yeah. That's. Is there any good news?
I looked over the cadet recommendations that you sent, and everything has been approved. They're part of a they're going to be transferred to a program that will benefit the crew of which they will be joining and themselves greatly.
I will let Corporal West know because he was the one who put the recommendations in. I just passed it along.
Well, the recommendations were notable, and, well, I have a ship to catch, but best of luck to you, Captain.
You as well, Admiral. And if you ever get a chance to swing out this way, I will have a drink with you.
Well,
Between friends, of course.
I think I'll be busy overseeing a secondary refit of the USS Ross, so...
Oh, I heard it was going through a refit.
Well, I'll be overlooking that, but for the time being, my best advice for you, Captain, with Admiral Vale, don't go around her back for anything.
Yeah, okay. Unless I'm going to talk to the Vice President, because she's still here.
She won't take that very well either.
That's fine.
It's probably not. Starfleet Command out.
I will let her know that I will also need to talk to the Vice President if anything new comes up.
She nods and gives a soft smile and clicks off the view screen.
He will click out the view screen, and I know it's late on the station, but I call Madam Vice President.
Okay.
And I know she's sleeping right now.
She is not, actually.
Oh,
She
so
is
she's
actually
so,
in her...
oh.
She is actually in her office still.
Oh, she's still running the investigation on her end. Oh.
No, she's not really running the investigation on her end, as it were. It's more of just... There's a lot of political paperwork, as it were.
Yeah.
Alright, Captain?
Madam Vice President, I have news for you.
USS Jaeger?
A catastrophic warp failure.
I'm aware.
Yeah, toward the Admiral Dax. There's no sign that the escape pods were ever launched.
Well.
Yeah, and also, Admiral Vale is coming to replace Admiral Dax. She will be here in a few weeks.
She was more of a on-site type of person. I'm not worried about Admiral Vale. I can handle her just fine.
Yeah. So, what's the plan going forward with an unofficial investigation? Because it's now just turned into a murder investigation.
Unofficially, yes, Captain. But as opposed to using someone as a scapegoat, I can't risk any form of actuality or truth, because that could be a powder keg on its own.
Yeah.
So now I'm forced with another, more displeasurable choice. Falsely holding such a... well, diversion or a presentation of such. The
Is
story
there
holds
a?
true.
Mhm.
We stick to the story. The only difference now is that might be how they're remembered. And as that slight, solemn realization hits over, that is actually where we are going to end tonight.